Madam Speaker, if you care about protecting our seniors and taking care of our veterans and military families, if you care about fighting climate change and combating gun violence, if you care about closing health disparities and creating good-paying jobs, and if you care about our economy not only rebounding from the COVID pandemic, but being strengthened for years to come, then the underlying measure is a lifeline. Because these 7 appropriations measures provide landmark funding to deal with our nation's most pressing issues. It turns the page on an era where the prior administration demanded disinvestment in seemingly everything that helped all but the wealthiest of the wealthy. And now we are working with the Biden administration to stand up for our workers and to rebuild the middle class. It is no secret that the appropriations process can seem a little arcane, but this measure is truly historic, Madam Speaker. I want to make 2 points here in particular. First is what's not in here. Finally, after more than 40 years, the Hyde Amendment is nowhere to be found. And let me say, it's about damn time. Because however we feel about abortion, we should not deny health coverage just because someone is working to make ends meet. More than half of the women affected by the Hyde Amendment are women of color. Nearly 1/3 are Black, 27% are Latina, and 1/5 are Asian American and Pacific Islanders, as well as Indigenous women also covered by Medicaid. That is what inequality looks like, Madam Speaker, and I'm proud that we are confronting it. The decision about whether to get an abortion is a deeply personal one. We don't know the circumstances, but I do know this. We should not defer to the politicians and special interest groups who want to impose their values on others. We should trust women and families to make their own decisions about what's best for them. It is about justice, it is about freedom, and it is about respecting women's personal autonomy. I want to thank Appropriations Committee Chairwoman Rosa DeLauro for leading the way on this, and I want to recognize the many Congresswomen in particular who have waged a sometimes lonely battle year after year after year to make this day a reality. Second, Madam Speaker, I want to recognize language that is included here which will help combat hunger across America. This measure expands access to healthy foods like fruits and vegetables to more than 6 million people through the WIC program. It ensures that more than 40 million people in SNAP-eligible families get benefits that they desperately need. And it also makes key investments in child nutrition programs like school meals. This is incredibly important since we all saw the COVID crisis lay bare the truth about hunger in America. The lines outside our food banks included some of the most affluent cars from the wealthiest neighborhoods because no one is immune from food insecurity. It is an epidemic in every state and every congressional district in this country. And even before the COVID pandemic hit, there were more than 35 million people who were going hungry in this country, including 10 million children. The United States is the richest country on the face of the earth. That anybody goes without food is unconscionable, Madam Speaker. And I've often said we have everything we need to end hunger in America. We have the food, the know-how, and yes, we have the money. The only thing we lack is the political will. Hunger is a political condition. I think that's finally beginning to change, Madam Speaker. For the last several months, the Rules Committee has acted as a kind of select committee on hunger, holding hearings, roundtables, and site visits, all to develop a roadmap to eradicate hunger in this country by 2030, as the United Nations has called for. And I am more convinced than ever that with a holistic approach and the full weight of the federal government, a hunger-free America is within our grasp. This rule makes in order my bipartisan amendment to provide $2.5 million for a White House conference on food, nutrition, hunger, and health. The conference will bring together the heads of food banks, hospitals, government agencies, educators, farmers, the faith-based community, people with lived experiences, our business community, anybody who has anything to do with finding a solution. Not to hold an event that is essentially a press release, but to develop a real plan to tackle this. Something with benchmarks that better connects the dots between all the different federal programs and expands successful local and state initiatives. The first and only time such a conference was held was the same year we put a man on the moon, over 52 years ago. It developed and strengthened many programs we still rely on, like SNAP and WIC and the National School Lunch Program. A hunger conference for the 21st century can finish what was started so many decades ago by Senators George McGovern and Senator Bob Dole and others. Senator Dole wrote to Ranking Member Cole and me recently saying, and I quote, "I remain proud of the work that Senator McGovern and I did then, and I endorse your effort to secure a second White House conference to identify the next frontier of programs to finally end hunger in America," end quote. I believe we can do big things, and I hope that we can do them in a bipartisan way. Madam Speaker, we can combat hunger, we can confront climate change, we can stand up for women's reproductive rights, and we can take care of the most vulnerable among us. And this bill is proof of that. And I urge all my colleagues to join with us in supporting this rule and the underlying measures so that we can build a more just and equitable future for every single American. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.